have a metric of like how many deals per agent or how many clients per agent or leads that they're handling until you know you have to hire someone else. Like I know someone not in real estate who they know every time you're like workload gets their scale is like a 1.3.
Yep.
They wanted everyone at a 1. So if everyone on the team got a 1.3, that meant there was enough to bring on someone new, and everyone's at 1 again.
So the only thing that I'm different about than that is that I will never say no to talent. Talent comes to my door.
Yeah,
we've done
that hire.
They pay for themselves.
Yeah.
In that
so
way.
so that's the only difference to that. So I like the metrics. I like being.
But do you have a metric?
We do. For us, it's really it's tough to say. I mean, for us, it's really about. Because it's not a lead-based business,
yeah.
Right? So it's a little bit different. It's not like, oh, we have so many leads we can't handle it. It's now like we're just how much can we handle?
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to. So right now we're like we just hit. So I believe that the maximum amount of people that you can have under you and coach at a time is 5. That's your max. You can't do more than that, especially if you're still selling. So we are just about like we're at 4 each. Plus
so
we have, but then we also have our so if we're gonna add more from here on in now, we have to add a sales manager.
So it's essentially a team under or a sales manager.
So it'll be a sales manager next that will then be able to take on the role of some of the things we're taking. So what we're doing with our operations person right now is she comes in on every accountability meeting with me. So she's starting to learn how to do that. So part of the goal is as time goes on and as we are ready to add more people, she can take that off of my plate. So now I can do, add that to other people.
Yeah.
So it's all about just like leveraging yourself out further.
So in your challenge, what do you feel you still need clarity on or questions on? Or
how did you get your first person?
I added a licensed admin. I did 108 deals. I did 108 deals. Right? So I loved the idea of a licensed admin hire for me.
It's funny, no one else in Kingston has one.
The biggest mistake I made was a licensed admin that I still let sell her own houses. So that's what I did first.
Yeah, admin should just be admin.
Yeah, so I brought on a licensed admin, but I let her have her own business, but she was also leveraging me as an admin, and I was giving her like the leads that I couldn't handle because I was doing too much and I wanted to be back at home. I had a kid now, so my life changed.
You tried to clone yourself.
Yes, and so the problem was, the biggest problem with that was that it would always come back to, I need you with doing the stuff for me, and she's like, but I have my own client, don't you want me to deal with my client? Do you want my business to fail?
Yeah.
Right? So now every licensed assistant that I have on my team now isn't allowed to sell themselves.
So do you do incentives?
So we just have showing agents and licensed admins that just sell for us. Right? They only work for us. And if they do
like
bring
a salary, or do they get like a per deal thing?
So my main licensed assistant that I have, she's a showing assistant for me. She makes a salary, a licensed fee until 3 showings, and after she goes on 3 showings, I pay her a percentage of the deal. And then when she does administrative tasks that helps leverage my other admins, I pay her an administrative fee. And then when she does licensed tasks outside of that, she gets paid her license fee.
Gotcha.
And it works amazing.
It sounds like it would be amazing.
And she does all my, so literally all I do now, like as an agent, is I get my appointments, I go on the listing appointment, and then after I'm done the listing appointment, she does everything else. She does the measurements, she does, she writes the verbiage for my brochures, she goes and does everything. My other assistants plan everything, and I do nothing except the listing appointment, the communication with them between then and sale, and the offer.
So one of the things I find in both my industry and the investment side of things, like property management, is in a smaller community, I find, and again, I don't want to say like community is different, because a lot of the times it's like an excuse. But the biggest thing is, like, it's great to find admin, but to find someone who wants to be just a showing assistant is tough. And that's like you could have somebody who just shows, like in Kingston, we don't do leases. Like, we don't get paid for that. Like, that's property management companies manage their stuff and it's $0.
Yeah.
And so if they want to have like a showing person, like a salesperson, it's very hard to find someone that wants that job. It's a tough job. And same with showing assistants. Like, it's like a lot of the people that get licensed, they have, like you said, like big dreams, or they're like, I'm not getting as much
But
value.
think people who are like a year or two in who aren't cutting it, but they still want to
So
do something.
it's hard to find those, though.
So the girl that's my licensed assistant, she was on our team. So when we first started our team, we set a standard. We said you have to do 150,000 GCI, or else you're not on our team. And if at any point in the year you're not meeting that standard, you go on a performance plan. So we put her on a performance plan because 4 months into the year she wasn't meeting our standard. And we gave her 2 months to get back on standard. And a month in, she said, I know I'm not going to make it. And we said, you know what? We see your talents in other ways. You're so talented on the administrative side. You're so talented on operations.
Yeah.
You're great with clients. You're just not good at the hustle. Yeah. And so we turned her into a showing assistant.
And
that
there's
was
people
it.
that's so much better for. Like,
And
not
she's now she
everyone-
makes
And that's the
$100,000.
thing, yeah.
She makes $100,000. She was going to make 50.
Yeah.
She makes $100,000
And it's
now,
more
and
stable.
it's stable. She has she knows what her income is almost
Yeah.
every week, and she's so much happier.
Yeah.
And
And
honestly,
she has the
like,
ability to make
And
150.
some
I can
people
see that
like
happen
that
to
more,
so
too.
many people, like
Yeah.
so many agents that they don't consider that as a career option,
Totally.
but it totally.
Well,
could
so
be the
many
best
people get into
match.
this job that aren't meant for this job.
And
Right?
for
It's
the
'cause
wrong reasons.
most people
Yeah.
aren't
Yeah.
realistic. Like, how many people have you met have been like, I want to pick your brain, and don't understand the 100% commission
Yes.
and that side of it? Like, I can't even, like, I only sold 2 years. I mean, I still get these calls from people, but like, during the series itself, like, I can't even remember how many people would want to sit down to like pick my brain about getting in the industry and think like Remax paid me a salary.
Yeah. Well, look at your brokerage. Look at your brokerage and look at how many people don't sell. Well, look at the statistics. Like,
Yeah.
like 75% of people on Treb sold 5 or less homes.
But 80% don't even make it to 2 years,
Right.
Yeah.
and of that, only 80% or 20% make it to 5.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Like,
we
it's
were
huge.
discussing how we believe our memories are quite foggy. But we believe that we did our back then there was only 3 phases. We did our phase 3
Agreed.
together,
Me too.
and the lady teaching the class said 3 of you will still be in the business in 2 years.
How many were in the class?
They're usually
It was
about
like-
25.
So
or
interesting. When I was doing mine, so I did like the last one in class. So of the room, I think there was 12 of us. 6 of them had no intention of ever selling a home.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
They came in like they
Ugh.
wanted just
What?
access to the MLS,
Yeah.
or they just wanted to like help with their flips. There was appraisers, but literally half the room had no intention of even trying to sell a house.
Mine wasn't quite that big, but it was a percentage for sure.
Yeah,
Like,
like
it was
it
a
was-
third or a
Wow.
quarter of it.
That's
So
not a thing.
back
that
to
I
your challenge.
remember.
Do you feel good? Do you know where to go next? What's your to-do?
My to do is to book some coffee meetings and to not just book meetings where I'm chatting to people, but I think I need to formulate a
intention?
value based plan for someone to join.
So before we go on, look at like if I'm sitting down with them, what's the benefit to them?
Yeah.
Of joining
You know
the
what I
team?
would do if I was you? I would build a vision map. I'd build a map of what you want your business to look like in the next 5 years, 10 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
And then you can say, like, this is what my vision is. And so when you are going to hire those people now, they look at it and you say, this is my vision for you. This is where I see you fitting
Figure
into
what
my
their
vision.
Yeah.
map looks
Right?
like.
And you say,
The
this is where I
values
see you
within.
fitting
Yeah.
into my vision, and this is where I see you growing there. Because if people don't see growth, they won't join you.
Yeah.
And look, when
Or
you're
if
in
that
that
doesn't
meeting,
fit their vision.
well, that's the thing, like
Yeah,
in your
yeah.
meeting, the beginning of it especially should be entirely focused on figuring out what their vision map is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right? Like you want to know where they want to go,
That's
but
it.
then maybe it could
Yeah.
change what the relationship you have with them ends up being.
Yeah.
But you can see like, okay, you're here. They
Even
want
the
to be
people that are
here.
with
You
you.
thought they wanted to be here.
Yeah.
Like, make sure you know what it is, so that's how you retain them.
This
Like, I
sounds
know-
like a listing appointment to me.
Right? Like, I know every
It is.
person on my
It's the
team. I
same
know
shit.
what they're
Flip
where they
chart
want to
here.
go.
Like when I'm
That's
signing
true.
a client, like the majority of my sales call is actually figuring out how they're growing their business now.
You're asking questions.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to convince you. I'm trying to figure out what, like,
How
my
can I
biggest
help
thing
you?
is like, how have you grown
Yeah.
your business so far? And they always start talking about like, well, I've tried this. I'm like, no, not online. Like, where you are now. Like, how have you gotten there?
Yeah.
Because the first thing we want to do is like the biggest mistake is like, say you're hiring like a lead gen company that like turns on Google Ads, is that's a new system coming into your business.
Yeah.
I would rather start with just complementing your existing systems, and then once we have that even more tuned in, then adding in the like, okay, now we'll bring in more leads, or now we'll do this, but first let's complement your existing systems. But you're good now. You're like,
yeah.
I have a vision.
Yep, I think that's a good plan. Would you recommend one person or multiple people at once?
So
depends on who's available.
It depends on your need and who comes to your.
It's just like as you feel.
Yeah,
it goes.
Like to put it in perspective, like
let's say there's 5 people that are like, we all want to join Jessica's team.
Sure.
Always dream. Like
that might be too much. So, but then there's some people that say hire 5 agents because 2 will stick around.
What is your?
Yeah, you don't want to go into
so it depends what your vision is.
No.
Like, is your vision to manage 5 people? If it's not, like that takes time. It takes time away from your own business. You need to know what it costs you. Like, I know I have a partner now, so I would have never grown the size team that I have right now if I was on my own, because I couldn't unless I hired a sales manager.
Yeah.
Right. So I have a partner now, so we split it.
Yeah.
So I know I can grow this size team because I have a partner that takes half of that away from me.
Yeah.
I have an operations director that's now starting to take on some of that leverage, and so now like my 4 people that I'm responsible for feel like 3. Right? So I'm actually, if my rule of thumb of 5, I still have room for 2 more.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to, is like, how much can you handle and still do what you need to do? Because I'm not going to let my business is where I'm the most profitable. I get 100% of what I bring in, right? Well, I get less because I've split it with my partner, but the reality is that's where I make the most money.
Yeah.
So am I ever going to let that suffer? No, that's always my first priority. But then my business, I make a percentage off of what they do, right? And so how much can I give to them to keep growing them, that they're happy, going to stay with me, and that there's a win-win, right?
Yeah.
That's all you have to figure out.
So you're good?
Yeah, sounds good.
What challenges are you've been given a lot of great what's your biggest challenge right now?
So the biggest challenge for me is that I've realized that I can't motivate people. They have to find their own motivation. So I've got 8 agents on my team right now, and I've realized that no matter what I do, I've tried everything to get them to where they want to get to, and I've realized that the only person that can motivate them to get there is themselves. I can inspire them, I can coach them, I can teach them, but I can't motivate them. And that was a huge mindset shift for me, because I thought forever that I was like a motivator. I'm like, my whole job is motivating these people. I was sending them messages at 6 a.m., right? Like, this is what you got to do today. Do it. But I realized that I got to get deep with what their reason for their goal is. So I've really gotten deep on what their whys are, what their reason for wanting the goal that they have is, right? So when we did business planning this year, it was getting really deep with, what is your goal? Okay, so your goal is to do $300,000 this year in GCI. Why is that important to you? What's that going to change for you? Why do you need to do that? Right? And like really asking a lot of questions and getting deep with it and getting down to the point. And then my goal is I hold them accountable to that. So every Friday I touch base with all of them and I sit down and I say, what did you do this week to get you closer to your goal? How many appointments did you go on? How many contacts did you make? What did you do? Right? What did you do to get you closer to your goal? And if they didn't do it, I go back to them and I say, because again, I know I can't motivate them. I know that it's up to them, but I go back to them and I say, you want to buy a house this year. You only made 10 contacts this week. You were supposed to make 50.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a house this year. Right?
So you right now, or do you find yourself going more the carrot or the stick?
It's a really good question. I find myself more going to the stick, right? I'm dangling it there for them, saying like, you told me, like the carrot is them.
Yeah.
The carrot is what they've told me they want, and I'm dangling it saying, you told me this, like, are you gonna do it? I can't do it for you. I'm not the one that's gonna go lead gen for them, right? I'm never gonna do that. It's them.
Now,
right?
Are you putting like ultimatums on them?
Yeah. So that's it. So I don't care what your goal is. At the beginning of the year, like we have a standard. So like we upped our standard this year and we said like the minimum standard for our team is 200,000 GCI. If you don't do 200,000 GCI, you're off our team.
Yeah.
Right? Because we want to have, like, we've set our team vision as we want a team of top producing agents. So if you're not doing 200,000 GCI, you don't get to work with us anymore. So it feels elite to be with us, right? So because we know that it doesn't actually take that much to get there. It's just a matter of consistency in doing it. So all of them set a goal at that as the minimum.
Yeah.
So I'm now saying, if that's your goal, and this is why it's important to you, why aren't you doing the things that you need to do to get to that goal? Because we worked out what it takes, what the metrics are to get to that goal, right? Like I know I have to go on 400 appointments this year to get to the goal that I have.
Yeah.
Like it works out to like the amount of weeks that I want to work, I have to do 9 appointments a week. So I know, like I did 9 appointments last week, I did 9 appointments this week. I know every week I have to do 9 appointments. It's hard. It's fucking hard. But I know that I have to do it. I know that that's my goal.
So if you or someone on your team and 3 weeks in a row you're at like 5.
Yeah.
What's the action you're taking after like 3 straight weeks you're at 5 instead of 9?
Yeah. So last week was the first, accountability with my team. It was week 1 back into the business. And I sat down with them all and I said, like, what are you, this is where you are, this is what happened.
Beer boy.
This is where you got to with your goal. And, the realities came out. There was excuses, this is the first week back in the business, I didn't do it. We'd already coached them like in the months prior, like you gotta already be booking your appointments for those first weeks of January, right? To be able to get on track for your goal, right? So it's, it's just getting real with them. Right, I was pretty hard on people last week. I'm like one person cried, right, in our meeting, and it wasn't my intention to make her cry, but it was, this isn't about me. I don't care. Like, my business is fine for me. I could live off of me, right? And Christy, like my partner and me, like we're good. If it's just the two of us, like I'll still be able to live the life I live, right? What you want to do, you've told me that that's what you want to do, and it's my job to hold you accountable to it. So why didn't you do this? What is your why that you told me not enough to motivate you to get out of bed every day and do it? Right? And that's what it was. It was just getting deep with that. So we'll monitor it again this week. I touched base with everybody on Tuesday this week, basically on the things that they struggled with last week, because my idea to them was make one little change. I'm not asking for a full 180 degree, right? Just one little change from last week so that you're better this week, right? And so whatever that was for everybody, I touched base with them on Tuesday and I said, are you doing this? For one person, it was like their sleeping habits have fallen off because of the Christmas holidays, right? So I was like, have you been getting up at 7:30 instead of 8:30, right? And it was like, I didn't yesterday, I did today. And I'm like, then you better tomorrow, right? And I followed up again yesterday and I said, are you up? And they texted me back, yes, I'm up, right? So it was just like about, again, I'm inspiring, I'm trying to hold them accountable, but I can't make them do it. They have to want to do it. And my thing was I kept going back to their why, right? So one person on my team, it was like, I'm renting right now, I want to buy this year. And I kept saying to them last week, I was like, you can't buy now, right? You're already behind on your goal. Like you have to get back to your goal. You have to now catch up next week. So by the end of this week, you now have to have 5 appointments because you needed, 2 last week and you need, right? So it's just about, really keeping them accountable to what they're doing.
So in that what's your struggle there in getting them to do this? Like, where's that issue for you that you're having?
Yeah, so it's just that, like, they're telling me something and not acting the same way that it is.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying so hard to inspire. Like I'm literally if you go into my phone, you'll see for the last month, I've sent a 5 a.m. coaching tip. So I hold myself accountable to getting up at 5 a.m. every day and sending them a coaching tip to give them something to think about 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm holding them accountable on Fridays. We actually have, what we learned is we need to like lead by example. So we've posted what we're doing, what me and my partner are doing on a board in our office that they can all see every single week. And we're doing videos about what we've been up to and what we're doing on a daily basis so that they can see the actions that we're taking to get to our goals, right? So the big question that a lot of them had last year was like, you sold 80 homes, how did you do that, right? And so it was, this year it's like, right from day one, it's like, okay, I went on 9 appointments this week. This is how I did it. This is who I called. This is what I did. This is what my days look like. This is it. We did videos like daily for them to see. Right? So
it's
we're
very,
like
informative.
Yeah, so we're like coaching.
So they're very accountable to you right now.
Yeah.
How much are they accountable to each other right now?
So there's a bit of it. So we find like what I have on my team is a mix of people who are super competitive and people who
against each other.
Just competitive in general.
Yeah.
And so when they do get competitive with each other, it helps them. And then we have another half of the team that is like competition actually like makes them do worse.
Yeah.
Right. And so.
Can I ask, have you ever done like personality tests on?
Yeah, we've done it on all of them. And I wish I did it before I hired them.
Oh.
Because some of them, to be honest, I wouldn't have hired them knowing the personality that they have.
What would be your information on that you could share?
Who's your ideal personality?
I mean, you don't want too many leaders on your team, because if you have too many, like if you do personality discs, for example,
you don't want a lot of
like
Ds.
a ton of Ds, like there's gonna be fighting,
Fair
right?
enough. Like legit, like fighting.
Yeah, just they're always gonna wanna like be the leader, right? And so they struggle with following people, and so you kind of need an army. At the same time, like the way we're building our team, and I'm not saying it's right, like build your team however you want, but the way we've built our team is we're trying to build leaders, we're trying to build guys that are gonna build these businesses that they manage other people and potentially lead other people. So we kind of need some D in there, right? But we also need a high I so that they can sell, right? Hey, there's
There's a late episode.
but that's the reality, right? Is there has to be some of that personality.
It's like a 2-hour,
Not even close to the longest. Don't even kid yourself. We did a 3.5 hour once.
We're on track.
I don't think we have enough beer to go 3.5 hours.
No,
It's
room
great,
service.
like,
We got
great
room
night.
service.
I'm up in 6 hours to
He
set
has
up
to
at this
perform.
conference.
Gotta
Well,
perform
not
at 9.
perform.
I'm doing
What's the word?
twice.
Yeah, you've done
I've
yours
twice
before.
Booth.
Is it your first time?
No, this guy.
Oh, hey.
He's a vet.
You got a first timer over here.
That's it.
I've never spoken in front of anyone.
I've spoken in front of
Any
people,
tips?
not this size.
Yeah.
Any tips,
This is
Andrew,
bigger.
for the
Yeah,
new
come on, I
speakers?
need-
Whoa, what's your thing?
Yeah,
Let's do it. Finish this.
I'm done.
What's your to-do? What's your to-do?
Well, so my to-do is kind of what I'm already doing to keep on them, right? And just really, the hardest part is, like, we've gotten close with people on our team, right? So we have these close relationships with them, and so it's separating that and saying, this is business. If you're not meeting our standard, if you're not meeting the standard that we've said,
Keeping
you
people
gotta
too
go.
long is a really hard thing.
Yeah, and it's just keeping them, putting them on that standard, right? If you're not meeting our standard, you're on a performance plan, and if you don't meet that, you're gone. We were so strong with that from the beginning, and we've gotten lackadaisical on it. So we're trying to get back to being like really strong about that, because you're judged. What I've learned is when you try to bring really strong talent on, they judge you based on your weakest link, right? And it's the same as when I was playing sports. When I went on an all-star team or when I went on a team, I judged them on who their weakest player was, not who their best player was.
Yeah.
Right? And so like I brought a really strong guy on last year, and he didn't ask me about who my top people were. He said, like, what's your lowest person doing? And I was like, fuck. That's true. Right? And we actually got rid of that low person, and so it brought our standard up.
Yeah.
And so now our standard is like growing and growing and growing. So my goal is to bring that standard up as high as I possibly can. Because then anybody new joining our team is looking at that bottom level and saying like, wow, you're low at the person doing the least amount of business on your team is doing 150,000 GCI. That's way better than the average in the industry, way better than some of the greats in the industry. Right?
And then if they are joining your team and they're surrounded by that,
exactly,
they're going to have to step it up.
Like imagine 8 agents on my team, and the lowest is doing 200. Like our minimum standard now is 200.
Yeah.
Right. So you're doing 200,000 in GCI, right? Imagine, number one, what does that make our overall business look like? Number two, like how profitable are we? Number three, what does that make our our standard?
I spent a bit of time a fair amount of time at a discount brokerage with a lot of like people that did not do a ton.
Yep.
And when I switched to a more high producing brokerage, it was just like even that culture within the brokerage, which it doesn't mean as much anymore.
No.
But it definitely was like
culture's everything though.
It was
I will say
changer.
we've so I had a top producing person that wanted to join us last year, but they just weren't a culture fit. And it's hard because we're such a young team. So I've had some older agents that do well want to join us, and it's not to say that I wouldn't take a 50-year-old agent that's doing well, but at the same time, like, they got to mesh with my team, and if they don't and they're going to cause problems with that and it's not going to be a good fit, I wouldn't take them even if they're doing $1 million.
So I'm curious,
right?
A lot of what you're talking about is like, okay, I have this goal for this person, this goal for this person. How much are they involved in the goal for the team?
Yeah, so
like there's a lot of like this person do 200, this, but like as a team, what are as a group they're all accountable to, and is there like a reward for a team level goal they might hit?
So we do challenges for the team, like we'll do listing challenges, right, and we'll do top producer for a month challenges, things like that.
But those are still individual awards,
they are,
right? Like it's all very individual based.
I mean, what our goal for the team ends up being is the combined effort of what everybody's goal is.
Yeah.
Right? And so then they feel a part of getting us to that
So
goal.
you don't hold somebody, like you do have your standard, but if somebody's standard is the bare minimum of your standard, or somebody's standard or goal, is higher, then you just take whatever their goal is, add them together, and then if you make your goal, great. If you, it's not like you're forcing everyone to double every year or something. It's
so I have everywhere from a 200,000 goal to a 500,000 goal on my team this year.
Yep.
And I don't look at any of them different because it's their goal.
Yep.
Right? And
that's
so
valuable.
For me, it's about what do you want? What do you feel like you're? I don't want unrealistic goals either. Right? If you did 100,000 last year and you're coming in telling me you're doing 500,000,
you're bullshit.
I'm not telling you that you can't, because it's possible, but like you got to change a lot of things, and what's your plan for getting there, right? And then I'm gonna hold you accountable to that plan. Just know that.
So the reason is because like one of the agents that we actually had him on the show, and we talked about is like when his team hits the team goal.
Yeah.
They all go to Hawaii. So like they're like next year's planning session is going to be in Hawaii if we hit that goal.
Yeah.
So nothing is on, like, there's the individual things within that. But like everyone's working together. Like we know this year.
You can do that at a small amount too. Like
but it doesn't it doesn't have to be Hawaii. It could be like we're going to go to like fucking Great Wolf Lodge.
No, but like you could go to Hawaii. Like let's say like.
But that's
I love it.
Yeah.
That thing that people are, because like everything you're talking about, like that's the only thing that like, when I'm hearing you talk is that everything's so individual.
It is.
That I think there has to be a little something more unifying. But it's still
it's together, but
they're
not
on the
all
same
at the same
team.
time.
So I look at everybody. So the way that our team is built is that it's like a brokerage. So they're independent contractors, but they're under our brand.
Yeah.
Right. And so at the end of the day, so I love what you're saying, because I love the idea of like
it's like the rising
if we all
tide,
because we do it with our challenges. So we'll say like, we have 2 months and we got to do 25 listings in this month. And we're going to do an individual challenge for whoever gets the most listings is going to get X. But if we all hit this challenge together to getting to 25 listings, then we do this, right? And so we did it this past fall, right? For 2 months, like November, December, because we know they're the hardest months to list properties. We said if we get 25 listings in those 2 months, then we'll all go out for a dinner together. And then the highest producing agent gets dinner as well.
What if you switched and said, okay, let's take Dean Jackson's like listing multiplier index and said, the past 2 months we've been at a 1.5.
Yeah.
If as a team
we get
the next listings that we take for the next 2 months, we're at a 2, here's what to do. Because then it doesn't matter individual perform, but everyone has to help each other to get that. So like if you get a listing, they're going to help you to get it. If that person gets a listing, everyone wants to help them, because they all have to work towards no matter whose listing it is.
I love it.
And I think
that's great.
That's the only thing, like when you're talking, is like the only thing I can think of like the thing you're missing when I talk to other top producers, like that collaborative.
Yes. So we're like extremely collaborative. Like we mastermind every single week.
But it's still towards individual
goals. But it is
goals.
towards their individual goals.
And I think that's the main thing I can think of that you seem to be missing because I've obviously had a lot of top producers on this show that we've talked to, is that like
getting them
specific in that is not tied to any one person.
Yes.
And everyone will, and that's where like
team goal.
Very easily, like the listing multiple index is such an easy one.
Love it.
Of like, hey, we're at a 1.5 the last 2 months. We have to be at this benchmark for the following 2 months, no matter who. Like, if you took every single listing over that span, they still need to help you go from 1.5 to a 2.
Love it.
And that's like that's the biggest difference. I think.
I love it.
That would make a huge difference.
I love it because I love it.